stay away from noble materials, first of all. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's very, very important, design an electrolyzer which is capable of connecting directly to a renewable source or a fluctuating intermittent power source without any electronics in between. But if you want to achieve the lowest possible production cost in history, you have to choose for other materials. The biggest misconception is that they will never ever be realized, to my opinion. Because the idea is about gigawatt-scale project is about centralization. I don't believe in centralization, I believe in decentralization. Well, first of all, by not using high purity water.
As a CEO of XINTC Global, he's turned what sounds like a rejected sci-fi movie prop into the hottest technology in the hydrogen world. This is someone with degrees in both mechanical engineering and business administration, because apparently knowing how to build something incredibly complex wasn't challenging enough. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who's making hydrogen happen one bubble at a time, Wilko van Kampen. Wilko, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give me an introduction into XINTC?
Sure. XINTC is a what we call a scale-up company. Started 12 years ago. It was established, Dutch-based and Dutch-funded enterprise. I'm the CEO and also one of the founders. And XINTC is fully dedicated to develop, produce, and market what we call disruptive technology for hydrogen, producing hydrogen.
And what's so disruptive in your modular approach that differs from other electrolyzer designs?
Well, basically, to be quite honest, I mean, a lot of electrolyzer OEMs, so original manufacturers, they focus on what we call a technology push. They have adopted a certain technology and they try to improve it, to make it more efficient. We started actually from scratch and we looked into the market first of all. So we looked into the market demand, and not the market demand for today, but the market demand in the coming decades. It's very difficult, of course, because what market are you talking about? Where? Which geographical location in the world? And what about dynamics, about changing habits or changing demands? What we achieved is actually to let's say, to come up with a perfect market fit, as we call it. So technology with market demand, or actually market demand with technology. And so we started to redesign actually the electrolyzer technology. And so far I think we succeeded in that. The market is not looking into technology. The market is only looking into one thing: price.
Yeah.
So what we call the LCOH.
How are you responding to competitive pressure from Chinese manufacturers?
Very good question. I get this question over and over again, but it's I wouldn't call it a threat. It is a pressure on us and all our, let's say, colleagues to come up with a better solution to lower the LCOH. So it's not about technology, it's not about the price, the capex of the technology. It's about what is your system capable of in terms of LCOH over the long haul, the total haul of the electrolyzer lifespan. So what we see actually is, of course, the Chinese, they have this massive infrastructure, this very committed governments and all these subsidies. And of course, lower manufacturing costs. So in order, let's say, to be competitive, you have to have a better product. I didn't say technology, I say product. And secondly, you need to produce in those locations, not one location, where it can be competitive, to be able to be competitive. So probably, if you can't join them, if you can't beat them, join them. That's of course here. So probably also go to China or India or other places in the world to produce our electrolyzer systems.
What's the biggest challenge in scaling electrolyzers to 100+ megawatts systems?
The biggest challenge is to, and that's what we do, to standardize everything within the product range actually. 100% standardization is a solution to success. So what you see in the world is that I would say the vast majority of electrolyzer systems is still what we call an engineered solution. It is custom built, it is custom specified. I think we distinguish from our competitors to have the only system which is 100%, or not 99.9, but 100% fully standardized. And if you have small modules, standardized modules, which you can produce at low cost, you can scale up very easily.
How does the mismatch between projects and offtake agreements affect your strategy, and do they?
It's a matter of choosing your market. So as I said before, your product market combination, your market fit actually. And if you're approaching the right market segments, we don't see any hurdles in this respect. So we have the right product for the right markets, and then of course you have the off-takers as well.
What specific innovation is driving the biggest cost reduction in electrolyzers?
Stay away from noble materials, first of all. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's very, very important, design an electrolyzer which is capable of connecting directly to a renewable source or a fluctuating intermittent power source without any electronics in between. And that's what XINTC is doing. And then you reduce the costs. So stay away from noble materials, direct connection to renewables, and of course, get rid of, if possible, and we achieved it, degradation of the stack. Because that's another very important aspect. The degradation is costing you money in the end, increasing the LCOH.
Why use plastic in your alkaline gas modules when most competitors use metal?
I will say all of them use metals, because that's a traditional way of building a stack. You have a cell, you have the electrodes, you have a membrane, or at least a diaphragm in between, and you stack them up. And in between the cells, you have those gaskets. That's the traditional way of building a stack. And everybody is trying to improve this sequence, this process. But if you want to achieve the lowest possible production cost in history, you have to choose for other materials. Materials who are recyclable, who are long-standing, so have a very long lifespan, and are durable. And that's why we choose for plastics. And in the end, of course, it also accommodates a full automated production process.
And what's the most common misconception about implementing gigascale electrolyzer projects?
The biggest misconception is that they will never ever be realized, to my opinion. Because it's the idea is about gigawatt scale project is about centralization. I don't believe in centralization. I believe in decentralization. So decentralized electricity production, decentralized hydrogen production, and now it comes local use of this hydrogen, so local off-taker. That's the game actually.
How do you optimize electrolyzer performance with variable renewable energy sources?
Yeah, and that's something I think the biggest advantage of XINTC, our unique selling points. We are capable of switching on and off, because that's what you have to do. These stacks, we call them gas modules to distinguish from traditional stacks, on and off in any frequency, 100,000 of times, without any significant degradation. That's the let's say the solution you have to pursue, and that's what we succeeded in.
Which EU regulation has the most significant impact on your product development?
Regulation. Well, not safety regulation, first of all. In terms of developments, I would say, well, I don't see any hurdle in that respect. Any big constraints? No. To be honest, no, I don't see them.
So Which regional market offers the most promising environment for electrolyzer deployment?
When it comes to our electrolyzer, I would say markets where there is an abundant source of renewables, so wind or solar or a combination. So that means Australia, China, Middle East, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, certain parts of Southern Europe, but also certain parts of Northern Europe, but then of course more smaller projects.
And how do you see this region here in Balkans?
As promising, as adaptive to hydrogen, but also in a developing stage, I would say, in a mature stage. So it needs some time to to develop the full potential of this market here.
How do you address water efficiency in your electrolyzer design?
Sorry, how do you
address water efficiency in your electrolyzer design?
Well, first of all, by not using high purity water, we can use well water, rainwater, water from the river, or any kind of sweet water available locally. So we don't need high pure water. In that respect, we are very efficient in terms of water usage. It's always this coming ahead, this ratio of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
But that's it. We don't need exceptional quality of water.
What aspect of your technology roadmap most excites investors right now?
The complete convincement that we have the technology in our what we call middle markets to produce hydrogen at the lowest possible production cost, proven, and that's what attracts investors. That's also what convinces investors.
How do hydrogen certification requirements influence your electrolyzer design? Is there anything related?
No, not really. The whole idea is not to exaggerate in let's say in certain design aspects. Engineers always want to add layer on layer on layer on let's say complexity. The whole idea is to get rid of the complexity and to make it simpler, safe but simple. So no thrills, I would say. Good enough design, as we call it. And the other thing is to make it objectively is we ordered the German TÜV to certify our system objectively. So it's not a question of a CE marking. It's a full, complete trajectory towards a CE certification process. In that respect, well, it didn't influence our design. We only convinced that we have the right design.
What fundamental shift in electrolyzer technology might make today's systems obsolete in 2030?
Well, I should say, of course, our technology that make the traditional way of building electrolyzers obsolete. Definitely. The market is not looking for engineered solution. The market is ready for product orientation, like you buy a laptop or your car. You do an influence, let's say, the OEM in how to design your car. Secondly, of course, production costs of the electrolyzer CapEx, but especially OpEx. So again, it comes down to LCOH. If you're not one of the guys, let's say, upfront, then there will be a shakeout, and you will lose your market potential. And
where do you see the best markets for you right now? Where do you want to expand?
We would like to expand in those markets where customers are producing feedstock, first of all, based on green feedstock, based on green electricity sources, wind, solar, primarily solar, or predominantly, I would say. And well, I just explained in which markets we can find them. So markets with like Australia or Chile or Brazil or Southern Europe. We see great potentials.
What could be the biggest constraints, in your opinion, for your expansion in the next 5 years?
Well, to be quite honest, I think one of the biggest constraints is not outside of our company, but inside our company. The not being capable of producing enough capacity in a certain amount of time. So not in order, let's say, to produce in the same pace as our customers are developing their projects. I think that could be a big constraint. So we have to scale up fast. And that's one of the reasons not to produce on one location, but on various locations on 3 continents.
Exactly. So meaning the outsource of production in a way.
Not outsourcing, but let's say working together with local partners in a joint venture structure. Yes. Could be in Asia, Europe, and America.
Interesting. Wilko, thank you for this interview.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you. Thanks.
Looking to amplify your brand in the hydrogen energy sector? Welcome to H2 Energy News, your go-to platform for impactful industry insights. Every month, we connect with over 80,000 visitors and generate more than 251,000 page views. Our reach is unmatched with over 1.2 million web impressions and a loyal social media following of 9,000 plus. Our newsletter reaches 77,000 plus subscribers, decision makers, industry leaders, and innovators. Want to target specific markets? Our geo-targeting capabilities cover Europe, the United States, and the MENA region. We reach key stakeholders, 27% senior executives, 32% directors, and 20% owners and partners. H2. Energy News isn't just a news platform, it's where the hydrogen energy community converges to shape the future. Join us and let's make an impact together. Visit energynews.biz and take your brand to the next level.